Angry guy here, and women are going broke as men exit society. Guys, if you're enjoying this content, please help get the channel to 100,000 subscribers on our journey to 2 million by subscribing to the channel if you already haven't, liking the video, and turning on notifications. Never miss another video ever again. Now let's begin. Women are going broke as men exit society. So, there's a lot of simping going on. And I wanted to look at this comment from one of the subscribers who talked about this. He actually commented on one of my videos. Women are demanding millionaires as men exit society. This is a problem that's actually been happening for a while. So he highlights it. He says, and passport bros are ending too. Why? Because those dating sites have migrated to countries like the Philippines, offering these women free services. And they too are now receiving hundreds of DMs daily. They will be brainwashed and corrupted in no time. Work on yourself, brothers. And someone responded, you got it. The only way to win is to not play the game. And unfortunately, I have to say this is absolutely true. So there's actually a channel on YouTube called Sunshine Shoulders. And I followed him for a while. And he's talked about this. It's a black guy that lives over in the Philippines. He actually networks with a lot of other passport bros. He's helped a lot of guys to transition over to the Philippines and, start their lives over there. But he's talked about it. He's talked about the fact that the Philippines is becoming corrupted with simps, where you have a lot of these men that are going over to the Philippines, losing their life savings and bringing, trying to live the same way that they were living in the Philippines. They're living in the Philippines. They're trying to live the same way they were living in the U.S. and the Philippines. They're buying these women cars. They're, buying women cars who don't even have a driver's license. Giving their life savings for a woman to take care of that didn't even graduate from middle school. It's pretty crazy. Falling in love with women who grew up in a piggery. When they met her, she was living in a piggery, and then they're surprised that this woman was just taking advantage of them because I mean, come on. So many of these guys go over to the Philippines. They're not in shape. They're not fit. They're not. They don't really have their life together. Sure, they have some money, but that's about it. And they think that they deserve a woman who's fit, feminine, and friendly. Now, and let me make this very clear. You don't have to be ripped and have a six pack, but you shouldn't be overweight, stubby, and and have like literally no self development at all. Because there's so many of these guys who see this reality as a means of uh of trying to skip go. Instead of having to work on themselves, build themselves up, they think they're going to go to the Philippines and find that in the Walt. And no such thing exists. You have to remember that these women in the Philippines, when they get a foreigner, they win the lottery because a man who makes $30,000 a year, $36,000 a year, that's equivalent to over $100,000 a year for them in the Philippines. I mean, with that kind of money, a guy who makes $36,000 a year, he can go to the Philippines, rent an entire, rent a 2-bedroom apartment or even a house for these women, furnish the house for these women, buy these women buy them a new iPhone, buy them everything they could really desire, all the appliances. These women will basically live lives that women in America could not imagine. Women in America cannot afford. And I'm just being very honest with you, you know and and foreigners tend to be more forgiving. Like, for example, these women who fall into a certain socioeconomic class, a guy who is educated, comes from a good family, makes good money in the Philippines, he's not going to get into a relationship with one of these people. He's not going to get into a relationship with one of these women. So basically, when these foreigners are going over to the Philippines, they are really marrying down. And when I say marrying down, I'm not talking about, for example, like a guy in the United States has a good job and he marries a girl who works at McDonald's. I'm not talking about that. The women in the Philippines that these foreigners are marrying, a lot of these women are women who literally grew up living in, in mud huts, and ended up eating refried food that came out of the trash. I mean, literally lived in very hard, harsh conditions. And let me make it very clear: we're not judging them, but we're acknowledging where they came from. And a lot of these women, they never even finished high school, let alone some of them never even went to high school. Many of them, for them, their education ended at middle school, and they had children when they were 14 years old. And then you have these foreigners who are going overseas and getting married to these women and thinking that they hit the lottery, and it's absolute nonsense. And now you literally have all these foreigners who are DMing these women online, because basically American women don't even, they don't get it. They really don't get it that men are walking away from Western society. And the one of the biggest dangers to the Passport Kings movement is literally the Sims, because the Sims are going to mess it up. But here's the thing, and here's the honest to goodness truth about. And this is where things really change. This is why MWA is so important. Men are not only going overseas for women; they're going overseas to find their peace. And that's one thing that you don't have in Western society. You don't have any peace. It's like you're in a pressure cooker all the time. It's just absolutely insane. And if women in these countries, if they screw it up, men will just walk away. Men will just walk away. Look at Japan. Look at what happened in Japan. Those men walked away from society. The Japanese man has walked away from Japanese society. He's there, he's working, he's getting his money, but he's not worried about these women. People seem to think that, oh, these men, they're completely herbivore. Not entirely. You see, they're like, oh, these are grass eater men. Guys, they call these men grass eater men, and they say that these men are not interested in physical intimacy. This is a lie. These men are not interested in problems. You'll find that these guys have anime collections. They have very erotic manga, and things like that. They are interested in women. They're just not interested in getting involved with women. And it's the honest to goodness truth. They're basically like, you know what? We don't want the stress. We do not want to deal with it. You know, we'd rather focus on our jobs. We'd rather focus on our lives, focus on our happiness, focus on our passion, focus on our money, focus on getting the car that we want. But we are not going to get involved with these people. And when it comes to cheating in Japan, and this is something like, I know damn well. I've known damn well since because guys, I've spent so much time around Japanese people. It's ridiculous. I know the way they live. I've watched them cheat on exams and, do some pretty gnarly things, man. They're just like us, but it's like they kind of like people like are kind of fascinated with them because they come from a different culture. But Japanese girls, like when they're not these special dainty people. Like they're fine with it. They cheat. They have they have body counts, and they have no problem with this. And the marriages, I've known this about Japan for a long time. Like once you get into a marriage with a Japanese woman, there are a lot of foreigners that talk about how wonderful the marriage is, and that's great for them. But in many cases, especially with Japanese men, there's no physical intimacy in the relationship anymore. And another serious problem that you have to consider is that if you get married to a Japanese woman, she can take the kid and flee to Japan. This is something that Japanese women do all the time, and you will never see your child again because roughly 100% of the time, yes, I said 100% of the time, the woman gets the child. That's how Japanese law is set up, where the father basically has no rights, and the woman can take the child. She flees with the child, and there's nothing the man can do to get the child back. If a woman takes your child, like for example, if you marry a Japanese woman, brought her to the US, and you had children here, she could take your child and just flee to Japan. And there's nothing you could do to get the child back to Japan. It's very, very difficult. This is the state of how Japan works. And if you're a Japanese citizen, if you're Japanese citizens and you live in Japan, and the woman can basically pick up and take the child at any time, and the Japanese courts will do literally nothing to help you. Don't and get Here's the funny thing: if it's vice versa, they will go after the man. But if the mother does it, if the woman does it, it's the system is biased in such a way that it's automatically assumed that the mother is basically the best parent for the child, and she can basically pick up, take the child, and that's the end of that. And this is the reality that so many men are forced to live in, unfortunately. Guys, women are going broke as men exit society, but at the same time, a lot of this stuff is moving overseas. The Sims are moving overseas. The Sims are moving. They're seeing what the success that the Passport Kings are having, and they're moving into online dating spaces in for the Philippines and so forth. But here's the thing: it's okay, because as these economies become saturated, men will just find new places. Men will just go to new countries, and again, and you have to understand that a lot of men are fine being alone. A lot of men, these Passport Kings, are not just going overseas to find women; they're going overseas to find peace. Okay, so these men who are having their lives destroyed, or playing these games, or falling prey to these women on these apps, so be it. So be it. Because the true Passport Kings don't care about that. They're walking away from Western society, relationships with Western society, and they are leaving the West to find new opportunities. And when I say new opportunities, I don't mean just for physical intimacy with women. Guys, if you're enjoying this content, help get the channel to 100,000 subscribers by subscribing to the channel if you already have it, liking the video, and turning on notifications to never miss another video ever again. Women are going broke as men exit society. Let me know what you guys think about everything that we discussed here today. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.